I'm just going to do an opening prayer. Is that okay? Can we please stand, Jesus? I feel more comfortable.
Well done, guys. Thank you.
Dear merciful and mighty God, we give you thanks and we give you praise and we give you all the glory for another day, Lord, that you've given us life, Lord, and given us breath, Lord, and we can be here to celebrate, Lord, the launch of my wife's book, From Hood to Headship, Lord, our journey throughout life, Lord. Lord, we give you thanks to everyone that's here and those on their way, Lord, just to come and celebrate, Lord, and all those who brought a book, Lord, and decided they want to be invested and want to know more knowledge, Lord. We ask you to bless each and every single one of us here today, Lord. We ask may your presence be amongst us, Lord, and may today go according to your will and according to your purpose and according to your plan, Lord. I want to touch every single person here today and give us journey mercies, Lord, as they leave here safely, Lord, in the precious name of Jesus. We give you thanks. Amen.
Amen.
Min said I only had a few minutes, that's why I cut it really short. I cut it really short, so I like to talk a lot, but I'm really represented, so
Sharifa.
Drink. Go for drink. This is my mum, by the way. So, are they ready?
Yep, they're ready.
So we're gonna have a little bit of excitement. So I think you might have some of these people in the books are meant to sitting around, so you'll see them. So we're gonna have some entertainment.
Miriam,
so if you didn't know, Miriam's
Ghanaian. Because he's looking. So she loves She's done it. He knows, yeah?
So
he knows.
Have some dance.
Does he know?
And it's not by me, by the way, so don't worry about that. Are you guys ready? So Sharifa and the crew.
My voice is not that good, so please don't laugh. Yeah? When I say chore boy, you say yeah. Yeah? But doing that, sitting down, that's not right. You guys can stand up. Yes. I like that. Shake it out. No music, son. Don't worry. Yeah? When I say chore boy, you say yeah. I'm trying to say, are you guys ready? You say yes. So if I don't hear yes, meaning I should go back where I come from. Chop way! Yeah! Huh? Yeah. We are one. So that means the yeah should be yeah. Chop way! Yeah! Chop way! Yeah! Chop, chop, chop way! Yeah! Chop, chop, chop way! Yeah! Chop way! Yeah! I'm coming. Oh, let's go, let's go, let's go. Come. Here. Ah! Up, 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 up. Ah! I want to see what you're doing for me. Smile, please. Right hand, right in front of you. 1, 2, say 1, 2, 3, 4.
Miss Miriam Manderson. All right, we're going to sit here now, aren't we? You may take a seat. So, as you can imagine, this is going to be organised within the second, because it's Miriam and there were spreadsheets exchanged about timings.
So we will be on time, we will run to time. Just a bit of a heads up for you guys. We expect full involvement. The first thing Miriam is going to do is read an excerpt from her book, From Hood to Headship. I'm then going to ask some questions, and we're going to have a little bit of entertainment and keep you, keep you enthralled with the people that Miriam surrounds herself with, and the people that I imagine helped her to be where she is here today. And then we're going to open the floor to you guys for some questions. And if I'm not getting a steady flow, I'm just going to randomly select, just so you're clear. Okay? Yeah, oh no, I heard that already. Oh no. So start thinking, because I'm not playing. Okay?
So we're in school then, miss?
You are always in school. You never stop learning, you should know that. Okay, so Miriam, off you go.
Okay, thank you everybody for being here. Let me start by reading this extract and then we'll move on. I really appreciate seeing everybody that's here. I've got my goggles on and they're not very focal, so please excuse the looking over the glasses. Typical teacher style, you know? Give me back my headphones, my brother John shouted. Meanwhile, I was doubled up in fits of laughter on the worn-out carpet on the stairs of our two-floored inner-city estate maisonette. The carpet was so worn, you could see and feel the wooden steps underneath quite clearly. We couldn't afford to have any redecoration, so the maisonette was allowed to just fade and wear over the years. Some days, funds were so low that my brother, sister, and I would share items made for one individual, and I'm talking about food. I remember one Saturday morning, just the three of us at home, and my sister had woken up early. My sister's here, by the way. Found the only egg in the fridge and cooked herself up a lovely breakfast with the last egg, 2 slices of bread, a tin of beans, and a cup of tea using her favourite tinned milk. We used tinned milk for everything. Clearly, it had more lasting power than the fresh sort, which I only tasted if I stayed at a friend's house. The friend whose mother had taken me in as her own child since meeting my dad in a state of distress, running late to collect me from the school one day. Tinned milk was our substitute for our cornflakes, not Kellogg's. Mixed with water, and voila, you had fresh milk. Sad times, I know. We always found something to smile or even laugh about. Teeth do not see poverty. As my brother and I smelt the food, we rushed downstairs to see her walking quickly to the living room. That's where she stayed. To eat all alone. She was laughing at us, and she knew she had made it and had said she was starving, so she couldn't wait for us to wake up. Just as she was sitting down on the sofa, her hand wobbled, losing balance of her tray, and over-toppled her plate with the single egg, bread, and beans. She's cracking up over there, because she remembers. Our mouths were ajar in shock, and John and I burst out laughing in absolute hysterics. Shame! Shame! We kept saying. Sis wasn't laughing. She looked as though she was about to cry. Somehow the tea remained on the tray, and we can laugh about it now. Back to my moment with John. John was fuming. His eyes were red and he was clenching his fists. I knew that he would never strike me, and I carried on being the annoying little sister. I had been tormenting him all morning as I had no other business to tend to. He, on the other hand, had his examinations to prepare for. That would make me 12 and him 16. At that moment, little did I know that I was going to eat a major serving of humble pie, as this round-headed, want-to-be muscly brother of mine, who buried his head in music, would go on to become a mini genius, achieving a string of A's in his O-levels and securing his place at University College of London to study computer science. If it were now, let's just say that the grade 9 would be a 9++ for his level of academic excellence. A feat I could only imagine when I got to my time in the last year of secondary school. He did, in fact, end up working with computers and extremely successfully doing so. My big brother John, Johnny B, as he's known to family and friends, was in love with his white and red headphone set. The cassette tapes would be played over and over again, and it was really exciting as it had auto-reverse. So it didn't need to stop, but just continue playing. On this rainy spring day, I decided not to go out to play, and had filled my time hiding some of his treasures and dared to separate him from his beloved headphones. I had achieved something Dad had not been able to do despite his strictness. John went into his room and slammed the door. I knew then that I'd really pissed him off. We got on so well usually, listening to tunes, old school soul, jazz funk, electric funk, the sounds of Africa Bambaataa and Soul Sonic Force, and other early rap songs, bopping our heads and having friendly challenges about who knew the best tracks, and I had spoilt this. What was I going to do now? The fun had stopped and he was in his room without his headphones. Bad move. Eventually, I took the missing beloved instrument from its hiding place and humbly knocked on his door to go in. I think he was relieved to have them back. He just let me in and tenderly took them from me, placing them on his small bookshelf. "What are you doing?" I asked. "I'm studying. I've got an exam on Friday," he replied. It was only Sunday. Dad had not been easy on John, perhaps being the only boy or just the fear of him being swallowed up by the estate kids. Dad ensured that he studied, and I saw this, and I knew it must be good for him and therefore good for me. The studying culture passed on from one sibling to the next. I'm going to skip now to another part. When it was my turn at school to talk about what I wanted to be as an adult, it seemed to roll off the tongue. "A computer analyst," I said confidently, looking at the faces to see their expressions, hoping I'd impress someone, looking at their faces to see them, or at least bamboozle them. It seems the only person I impressed was Miss Simmons, our middle-aged, loud and eccentric primary school teacher who took no nonsense. Her eyes bulged as I said this. Unlike some of my peers who unfortunately had to contend with the labels of being educationally subnormal in some schools, or being treated as if in some sort of academic need, rendering their thoughts and ambitions as incomprehensible and unachievable, Miss Simmons, on the other hand, did not put me down. She did not express any glaringly low expectations, ridden with covertly racist comments such as, "Are you sure? Don't you want to be a nurse? Or a shop assistant?" Or any of those types of sentences that we've heard bandied around. Perhaps I was lucky. All of us in her class were lucky. I would say Miss Simmons was one of my early champions. Miss Simmons simply duly noted the phrase, "computer analyst," on the board, and then in her book. And then she said, "That's interesting. How did you know about this job?" "My brother wants to do this, and I think I want to do this too," I said. "Well, I'm glad you've thought about what you want to do in the future. Sounds like a very interesting job," she continued, and went to the next student. There was no tone of surprise in her voice, no lack of belief, no questioning interrogatively about my clear lack of actual understanding of what a computer analyst was. A Bible verse in Proverbs talks about the power of the tongue. It reads, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." Proverbs 18:21. With our words, we can edify, build up, encourage, and lift, or we can pull down, crush, and destroy, depending on the words we choose to say. The best teachers know this. They know the power of the tongue, inside and outside of the classroom. Thank you. I'm hot now.
Yeah, it's okay. You look stunning. So,
Can everybody just make sure your mobile phone's on silent, please, yeah?
yes, please, because I will expose you. So please do. Thank you. So, Miriam, a pleasure to hear those words from your lips. And when I was reading it, I felt you saying a lot of these words. So I'm going to start off by asking you about... I'm just going to read one line. I know you don't want me to. I'm going to read one line of your book because I think it's important. It says, "In terms of tenacity and strength, I would like to think that some of that may have trickled down to me, hopefully. You are one of the strongest women that I know. You have juggled a headship that began with the world's worst pandemic. You have managed to raise 2 beautiful boys and Theo. You have continued to put yourself out there and support others. I know you supported people through their MPQH. I know you supported me through my MPQH. And then, explain what that is. Oh, sorry, National Professional Qualification for Headship. So it's hard. And as you were doing all of that, you decided, I'm going to write a book. Why?
The ultimate question. So when I was a child, I'd always wanted to write a book, always. You know when you're at primary school and you think, I'm quite good at writing stories. You think, yeah, I'll write a book. And I started and it just took me forever. But it was fiction I was trying to write. And it was hard. And when I became an adult, I'd given up that dream a long time ago. I just thought, I'm just not going to manage to do that at all. I'm never going to write books, just forget it. But I've always journaled. And journaling, I feel, is quite cathartic for me, and it quite kind of releases what's gone on, and it's my private space. And when I started as a senior leader, I thought, I'm going to try this book thing again, and failed miserably again. But I decided that I wanted to write something that was not fiction. It's only when you start writing a book do you realise how dumb you are. You don't know anything at all, and you realise you have to do research. And so I thought, I'm going to make this a mission, and I gave myself a goal. So I celebrated a significant birthday in May, which was 50, and I thought, I'm going to try and do it by then. So that's what made me do the book. But additionally, if I'm really honest, a few people had said to me, oh, you should write about that. You should write a book about your experiences. And I do try to stay humble, so I was thinking, it's not that important. Why? And my husband said to me, everyone's story is their story. This is yours. And I thought, okay, all right. And then when I became a head, people said, oh, God, that's really interesting. I thought, maybe there's something there, maybe. Okay. So I gave it a go. But fiction was really hard to write, and so I thought, this might be easier, and it was. And I felt that I like projects. I think Theo always says I've got ADHD. I probably have. I'm always doing something.
No, you have. I'm on the spectrum as well.
Candice is going to be really upfront honest about everything.
That's what you
I
wanted.
always have to be doing different projects. So I think I kind of thought, right, I'm going to try it. I'm going to give it a go and see where it ends up. And then I went to a friend's book launch. And there I met my publisher, who you'll see a bit later on. And I thought, ooh, it became real for me. I can actually do this. I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try. I always put myself in challenges. So that's why I decided to write it.
I'm intrigued. So this morning I was explaining to somebody where I was going, and she said, Miriam is a force of nature. And that was the first thing she used to describe you. And I thought, that has actually summed it up beautifully. You have gone through some real difficulties in terms of your initial years of headship, which in themselves probably you could write another book about. What advice would you give to others who are seeking to follow in your footsteps?
You can tell we haven't pre-planned this, can't you?
She's not Madonna. She doesn't get advanced questions. That's not how this works.
Advice. I think the first advice is you can do it. That would be the first thing. It's about that self-belief. And I think sometimes as adults we think we shouldn't take childlike advice, but sometimes we do need to become a child again and reinsert ourselves and start it again at anything we're going to do. The second piece of advice would be use the people around you. Draw on the strength of those that you know have genuine interest in you and what you want to do, and you reciprocate that with them. It's not a one-way street, is it, ever? So I'd say draw on that. And in terms of leadership in particular, watch people, watch how they do things, think about what other leaders do, and take the best bits. So I've been in education for a long time, over 27 years now. Been a teacher for over 27 years. And I have watched a few head teachers. I've got a few sitting in the audience and a few that I'm working with, so I've got to be careful here. But I've taken the best bits, I think, from them and said, I don't like that bit, I'm not going to use that. I hope I'm never like that in terms of certain head teachers and certain leaders. And I believe it's about treating people with dignity and respect all the way. And I've taken that, and said, that's what I'm going to do as a leader. And I model myself on people, and you'll hear a little bit about that later on.
Yeah, and I would certainly agree, you're all about that. Talk to me about your biggest inspiration.
Ooh, that's really a biggest inspiration.
Yeah.
Biggest inspiration.
What drives you every day?
Okay, maybe at the core of it is probably the fact that, I don't know, I think it's just the fact that I want to be successful in everything I do, but I think it comes out of adversity. So you will read in the book that I lost my mum at a very young age. And I do think that I'm always, in some ways it can be a blessing and a curse, because I'm always thinking, can I do it at the best, and is it good enough, And so I always strive to be my best. And funny, that's the motto for my school. Little do they know, it's a motto for me. Strive to be your best. Isn't it, John?
It is.
Absolutely. That's my CEO, John. That's there. So I think, have I answered your question? What drives me the most? Yeah, I think it's just wanting to be excellent at things. And just doing a good job. And coming from, I have to be honest, I think also being a black woman in the UK, I always feel like I need to do better, I need to do good, I need to overcome certain, I don't want people to have the same stigmas or ideas about certain people from certain cultures not being able. And so that drives me too. That drives me too.
I think we had many car conversations. So Miriam and I worked together for a few years, and I'll talk about how she inspired me in a little bit later on. But we had many conversations in that car. That car has got some secrets that we exposed, and it was always the need to not be the angry black woman, that stereotype, which we can be, but we didn't want to be, because I think it's really important for the children to see, you know, we are their corporate parents, is something that I've always said. And you were really selective. I remember you being really selective about the type of school you wanted to work in. You wanted to work in a school where you could make a difference. So I know some of the differences that you've made to the school under a pandemic and the world war situation, no doubt, no less. But talk to me a little bit, because we don't have much time and we do need to stick to time today, about how you feel you have changed the school in the short time that you've been there.
The school that I'm at?
Yeah.
Well, for a fact, as I said, John, I hope you don't mind me doing this to you.
Not at all.
So I'm going to share. This is Dr. John Reevely, who was the head of the school that I'm at for 20 years. Can you imagine taking over? Yeah. And the first thing that I said to the staff, I remember the first day I went to the school and I've got a few colleagues here as well, I wore my Illuminous, do you remember that Illuminous green dress? And I said, I wore this because I want you to see me and know I'm not John. He's 6 foot, I'm here, and I'm in this green dress, and I needed you to see me.
That was the difference, the dress,
yeah? The dress.
Okay.
John had a way of doing things. I think one of the things I would say I've probably brought to the school is my different style of leadership. I've certainly made certain members of staff a little bit more accountable and make them...
You fixed them up.
Be careful.
No disrespect to you, John, at all. You're beautiful and lovely.
Yeah. Certainly made them more accountable in the sense that knowing what their leadership capacity can be and where they can go and how they can make themselves answerable to other people, not just those that are in the school. But more importantly, I think there was a slight shift in this. The culture, I felt, was a little bit towards the staff being in favour of each other more than the students. And I would say that there's a little bit more of a mantra now, students first.
Always.
And in fact, in my senior leadership team meeting, we know if we're in the middle of discussions and anything happens, it's down to students first. You know, we're off. Because there's nobody more important than them and children. They're the future. So I think that shift has probably come because I've allowed them to do that and made them feel as though they can, see to the students.
That's brilliant. So just coming to the end of our first session. Just to be clear, you don't often make mistakes, Miriam, but I wanted to just clear you up on something. So in my signed copy, first edition of Hood to Headship, from Hood to Headship here, in my first signed copy, it was a very private and personal, it was a beautiful message, I loved it. But at the end, you just put, we from the Hood did good. Love, Mims. Just to correct you, I don't come from the Hood. Just to be clear, I am from what we'd like to call Harlesden Valley, which is the posh side of Harlesden, just so that you're clear. So I'm going to rub that bit out, and if you could replace it with...
and I'm from Church End Boulevard, yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Whatever. Anyway, we move swiftly on. Now, the next person is your editor, is that right? Who could not be here this afternoon?
Yeah, she couldn't be here, Linda Green.
So I am going to read... Apologies. I'm going to read a few words from Linda Green on her behalf. So it's all very complimentary, you'll be glad to know. Nothing to do with having to work with you. All right, so these are the words of Linda Green. She says, "There is a saying that if you want something done, ask a busy person. That may seem to be a paradox, but in reality, busy people get things done. Working with Miriam meant a lot to me as she was willing to learn and grow. She was happy to take on board guidance towards achieving her goal of producing her book, From Hood to Headship. The book will be a source of encouragement to women of colour traversing the many hurdles to leadership coming after her, but could also be a resource to those seeking to support reflective diversity in a predominantly white, middle-class male domain. May all those who read this book be inspired to reach for the stars and push to achieve their aspirational goals in whatever area of the world of work they wish to advance in. Miriam, I applaud you and your family who have supported you in your success, in your career, and I wish you every success. Can we have a round of applause, please?
Thank you. Thanks, Linda. Very nice.
And I think what she says resonates, and I dragged all of my children here today because for me, this is Black excellence. This is what it's about. I don't know how many book launches people have been to. I personally, in all of my very young years, have not been to a Black woman, and we'll get into the statistics about how unique she actually is, but come back to Northwest London to launch her book. That's huge. It is so huge, and it gives me great pleasure, and I'm very proud to be here. We move on. Miss Viv Grant is going to read her forward for the audience.
Are you going to say who you are? Shall I say who you are? Can I say a little bit about who Viv is? So Viv Grant is the CEO of Integrity Coaching and is actually an ex-head teacher. And Viv's book inspired me so much that I got in touch with her and said, I need you. On LinkedIn, I didn't know her. I said, I need you to come and be part of what I'm doing. So I'm really honoured that Viv has come today. And she wrote a little bit in the book, which I'd like you to read for everybody else. Thank you. Do you want it on here? I'll just hold it. Yeah, that's fine.
And just before I read this, Miriam, I want to say a few words about Miriam, actually. Because Miriam sent me a draft copy of her book. And I've been in Headship, not Headship, but in education slightly longer than you, Miriam, and I feel really old. But reading it, what Miriam wrote really touched my heart, because there's something I really believe, and for those of you who are educators here, I think education is a calling. And if you've been called to be a teacher or a school leader, I believe it's a calling not just for the community, but for you as an individual. Because there's something about the journey that we go on that's about a transformation. And when you read this book, you will see and you will hear all the trials that Miriam has been through, but how they have transformed her. And in that transformation, the woman that you see here today and who she now is for the community that she serves. So I really just wanted to say that from a very personal perspective, really just seeing that and just thinking, wow, this is amazing. All of you, all the children who are fortunate to have Miriam as their head teacher, they are really, really very fortunate. But to what I have written, because I know time is of the essence. So, this is a book full of warmth, humour and courage. So intimately written that the reader cannot help but find themselves drawn into Miriam's life and the unfolding of her story. And what an amazing story it is. The story of a London-born, UK, Black, West African child who overcame a plethora of obstacles to achieve her dream of becoming a head teacher. This book is a must-read, particularly for aspiring leaders of colour. Miriam's words will inspire and motivate and show you that even in the face of adversity, it is possible to achieve your dreams. And Miriam, thank you for bringing this dream out into the world. So thank you.
Thank you, Viv.
Okay, thank you so much for that. So beautifully said. And I think that your book will touch different people in different ways, and it was absolutely necessary. So we have ex-students Samaya and Nasima here today. It's very lovely to see you, ladies. Would you like to come up?
Hola, Samaya. Bonjour, Nasima.
You're going to want to sit down.
Uh-oh.
So, hi, my name is Nasima. This is Samaya. We're very nervous. She
You
can't
don't
think
need
of choice.
Yeah, she's been doing that. She does a lot of that.
Okay, no, but we can't say no. We can't say no.
No, she does that too.
So, she's expecting a poem. Do we look like poets? As the West London girls that we are, and the terrible students that we were, we decided to do something a little bit different.
Oh my God.
I remember my first day at school like it was yesterday.
Step forward, Samaya.
A bit tall for me. I remember my first day of school like it was yesterday. Sorry.
Oops.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There you go.
Step forward. There we are. So we can
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's okay. Thank you.
I remember my first day of school like it was yesterday. My bag was bigger than me. My eyebrows were bigger than me. And everyone else was bigger than me. And as you can see 20 years later, everyone is bigger than me. I started Fulham Cross at 11 years old. I was nervous as no one from primary school came to this school. I remember walking into my 7C classroom. It was noisy and chatty. Then Miss B walks in, with her smile and amazing hair. We could tell by her eyes we could never cross this woman. We all went quiet and listened. Miss B was my form tutor and my Spanish teacher, and for some silly reason I was so embarrassed to admit that I could speak another language. The minute I told her I was Spanish, that was it. She did not leave me alone. Miss B used to say to me, you will do Spanish GCSE in year 10, and in year 11 you can do your A level. So obviously I was like, no thanks, no way. I wasn't the easiest student, however, form was my favourite part of the day. My home life wasn't an easy one, so it was nice to forget the outside world for 6 hours. I remember talking to Miss B about my Japan trips, flamenco, and obviously salsa. She always made time, and now that I work in a school, teachers do not have time. Miss B, sorry, I can't call you Miriam.
And B's for Blankson at the time, isn't it?
Sorry. Because of you, I came to school every day. I did what you asked of me because you're the only one that believed I could do it. You praised me and gave me confidence that I needed to make it. I remember telling you about some personal stuff, and you always told me education is your one-way ticket out of your situation, and that always stuck in my head. I currently now work at Fulham Cross School, where we all attend. I currently now work at Fulham Cross School, where I currently attended. I work with students who struggle in school for various reasons, home life, behaviour, etc. And my big why is be the adult you needed when you were younger, and Miss B, you were my person.
Aww.
That's lovely.
I love you.
I don't have an emotional one, but okay. So, we're going to start this off with an apology to Mr. Manderson. So, we don't refer to her as Miss Manderson. She's Miss Manderson to us, and she will always be. Sorry. Am I too tall now? Okay. So, Miss Bankson, Miriam, came to us and asked us to say a poem in each of the languages that she taught us. And we actually tried. We did try to do a bit of our homework. We said high and low, and we just couldn't find the perfect word that would represent what she means to us and the impact that she's had on us. So we scrapped Molière, which is really boring, by the way, and decided to speak from the heart. So I first met Miss Bankson in 2002 when I joined Fulham Cross, and actually your lesson was my first lesson that day.
Wow.
Ever.
Okay.
So, and as soon as she found out I was Moroccan, she never spoke English to me again. My French wasn't that good, but she forced it out of me. And for a while, I really didn't know what she was saying to me, but I just nodded. With her support, I excelled in French, despite it actually being a language I didn't love. Due to just the way that I learnt it as a child, but she kind of brought a little bit of a spark back. She brought some flavour into it. And obviously I did my GCSE in year 9 by force, and I got my A star.
You're welcome. You are welcome.
There's more. So that's not actually how she changed my life. So we had the opportunity to add Spanish to our timetables, and I was interested by this language. I knew nothing about it. It was easy for me to just stick to French, but I thought I'm going to go for it because she teaches it. So I added it on having already built a strong bond with her, and I was just desperate to just be in a lesson with her, whatever it was. So I joined Spanish. And I want to say that my first Spanish lesson was lit. It was fun. She knew what she was doing because she brought so much energy into it. Spoiler alert, I teach languages now, but I know that teaching languages in the UK can be quite difficult. It's a really tough crowd. So the fact that she did it from day one and she just lured us in, it was amazing. And she wasn't just there to teach us grammar and vocab, which can be quite boring. She was there to open us up to a whole new world, which she did. I'll tell you more about that in a minute. And then I had an alter ego. She decided to give full names, Spanish names, and mine was Maria.
You've got 1 minute, I think.
Got 1 minute, okay. I'm going to speed through this one. I think I'm almost And then that's where the language learning journey continued, filled with salsa and merengue along the way. Obviously, when it came time to choosing GCSEs, I chose Spanish. It was my first one, no doubt about it. However, in year 10, where's your firstborn? She got pregnant and left us. And then she came back in year 11, and what did she come back as? Pregnant again.
They're out there.
Hi, nice finding you. So at this point, we wondered if she actually cared about us. She let us in and she left us. But she built amazing foundations, and again, I got another A star. Thank you.
Welcome.
Continued on. I'm going to speed through. Continued on. I did Spanish A-level university. Came back to do a PGCE in languages, and I mentioned you in every single application and interview.
Oh, that's quite a thing.
So to wrap it up, yeah, you finish it.
Okay, this is my protégée, which means that she's now the head of languages at the language college that was built at Fulham Cross that I started off. Okay. Thank you. I'm just really nervous. It's fine. Thank you. I'm going to pass over to the host again. Thank you.
Yes, and this is what she does. So, all you children out there, when the adults are talking, listen. Okay? Listen. Because then you will be at their book launch and you can tell stories. You see, you're crying now, but you only had 5 minutes, and I told you. And if you were under 5 minutes, you wouldn't have cried. I'm just saying that now. Okay? Okay. So, little people, when your parents are giving you lessons, learn them. Now, I am very lucky. I'm in esteemed company. I'm about to introduce the woman who, in 2018, was the world's greatest teacher. And she learned everything she knows from me and Miriam, is what I would say. But we let her be the face because, we were busy doing the business of teaching. So she too has written a book, and not to be outdone, because Miriam waits until something is done and then perfects it. Miriam then phoned Andrea and said to Andrea, can you write the forward in my book? There was a clandestine deal done, and now Andrea Zafaraku MBE is coming up to read.
Go for it, girl. Thank you, my darling. Put this down.
She gave me 2 weeks to do this, and my heart was, oh my God, it's Miriam. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. Miriam, you're amazing. Continue. This is the foreword which I wrote for Miriam, and when I was writing it, I thought, what do I write about this woman, or can I write about this woman, or what does she want? I just thought, you know what, let me write about my Miriam and what effect she had on us, and what effect she had on me as being somebody who she used to line manage as well. So here we go. It is with a heart bursting with pride to have the opportunity of writing the foreword to my dear friend Miriam's long-awaited debut book, From Hood to Head. I've always been in awe of this woman, and in these few words I'd like to share with you why. I've known Miriam for more than 13 years, initially as a work colleague where I adopted her as my secret mentor, but now where she plays the role of a dear friend and a member of my big fat Greek extended family. We first met in 2008 when she was recently appointed as a new assistant head teacher in my school, and at that time the school was on a challenging journey, and the head teacher wanted to grow and enhance a new leadership team who would support their vision. Hence Miriam was a perfect candidate to help make this happen. My first impressions of meeting this smartly dressed and stylish woman who would glide like a swan on her 3-inch heels and who would memorise you with her most extraordinary hairdos was a football World Cup shout out, yes! I have found another woman who I can connect with, and who was funny, strong, kind, but most importantly, who would be an inspiring role model to our students, our staff, and to myself. Indeed, Miriam would communicate and connect with everyone and would make them feel valued and important, regardless of their knowledge and background. And it's fair to say it is impossible not to gravitate towards her and be influenced and to follow. As a result, I have learnt so much from my dear friend Miriam, particularly over the last 5 years, where I witnessed her long and tough journey in finally getting her well-deserved school headship position. During this period, the learning which took place for me was invaluable and quite often painful, especially as I felt helpless for her. She encountered many obstacles, conversations were tough, and opportunities for headship positions were few and far between, all of which will be shared with us later in this book. I would often reflect and ask myself whether or not Miriam is secretly wearing a Teflon non-stick outfit underneath her suit with the aim of rejecting negative thoughts and sadness, as you would never have guessed the ongoing challenges that she was dealing with. However, my greatest learning from Miriam is that when you want something so desperately and you share this message to the universe, it will happen. And there are always people willing to help you get there if you are brave enough to ask. Miriam has written this book not as a trophy of her success in becoming a head teacher, which has always been a lifelong ambition for her, but mostly as a guidebook or source of inspiration to help others who are in similar journeys and who need to see what resilience, inner strength and self-belief can achieve. In life, we know there are continuous blockers and a lack of opportunities, especially for women, and even more so for women of colour. This book will help us to see that labels and socio-economic status do not define us. Instead, it is our attitudes to all communities, kindness and service to others that does. As Michelle Obama beautifully states in her address to the Democratic National Convention in July 2016, when they go low, we go high. Please now sit back and enjoy reading how Miriam demonstrates to us all how this is achieved. There is so much I can write about Miriam, but my favourite stories, again, were the ones which will probably keep that in her little BMW car. Jumping into a car after school because we heard something was happening in Byron Park. The bus stops, us having our briefing conversations whereby we're looking at each other and go, Miriam, is that dirty? Or Andrea, Zaf, what's going on there? So honestly, Miriam, I'm so proud of you. And my mum, there's a Greek saying which says anodera, and that means keep going. And I just want you just to keep going, never stop.
Thank you, Andrea. Thank you. Beautiful, darling. Thank you.
She's my school husband. She is, yes. We complete each other.
And I'm the mum.
Yeah, she left us to do her own thing. Anyway, can I introduce somebody who I believe is an inspiration in her role. I like the way that Karen calls her leadership team aspiring head teachers, and that's the kind of language that encourages excellence. Can I introduce Miss Karen Giles? You're reading next year.
Oh, taller, but that's okay. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for coming today to support Miriam. And not that she ever needs any support, because she's absolutely awesome. I'm in awe of you, and I have always been in awe of you. And the more I get to know you, the more I see that we have in common, and the more that I'm in awe of you.
We have in common, yes.
So, she wanted me to tell you about how I met her. I worked for an organisation called Future Leaders. There was somebody there who asked me if I would be able to coach or mentor a particular person. And I said, well, actually, that's not too bad because I'm at a school which is 5 minutes drive away. So Miriam and I met, and we've met at a couple of restaurants. But actually, the most important thing was that she was at the point in her journey where most people would be despondent, most people would be giving up. And I know that there's a kind of mystery around why are there so few black female head teachers, particularly in secondary. And I know that you might see something glistening in her hair. And what that is the glass from the ceilings that she is.
Amen, that's right.
Day on.
That's right.
When we met and we spoke about what the issue was, because of her tenacity and going for job after job, it's not a reflection on her. And I said this to you. It's a reflection on the fact that you are not the archetypal, and it's also about a fit. You can go to a job interview and you might have all of the credentials and all of the experience, but actually you need to fit what people are looking for. And this woman doesn't always fit what people are expecting a head teacher should look like. So thank you very much to your organisation for actually seeing past expectations and seeing the diamond that you have here. So I don't want to say too much because this is really about you. But it's about you.
Yeah.
The book is a manifestation of
Okay.
you. And in terms of peer mentoring, if you, whatever you do and whatever you want to do, I would advise you to get somebody, to find somebody who can just talk to you and be able to keep you encouraged, keep you on that journey, speak some sense to you about what is happening in the system so that you can continue your journey. So she would like me to speak about, or from the preface, which is, did you know that in 2018 there were over 22,000 head teachers for primary and secondary in the UK? Did you know that 15,000 head teachers were female? Did you know that 0.7% of the 22,000 head teachers were of black origin, with 0.2% of black African origin? Did you know that there were approximately 40 black male head teachers, 40 black male head teachers, and this is the reason why we need them. Yeah? 10 of those being heads of secondary schools. And finally, do you realise that I make up 1% of the 0.2% of the 22,000 head teachers of black, African and female grouping in the UK?
Could you just read that last line again, please, Karen?
Finally, do you realise that I make up 1 of the 0.2% of the of the 22,000 head teachers of black, African and female grouping in the UK? The first black head teacher in Britain was Yvonne Connolly, who sadly passed away in January of 2021. 51 years later, From Hood to Headship takes us on an impassioned journey to see the view from my humble beginnings in inner city London through the eyes of a London-born UK black West African child, and provides one perspective of what it takes to become one of Britain's very few black head teachers. There should be many more like me by now. So I also want to read you something from chapter 7, Everyone Deserves a Champion. Those of you who haven't seen the video called Everyone Deserves a Champion on YouTube, yeah, this is the champion too, as we heard from this lovely lady here. If you are at a stage where you are doubting, considering the next step, making decisions, my advice would be to surround yourself with those who are just a little bit ahead of you. Take note of who your champions are, or potentially could be. Consider your connections, how your connections can be useful, and how you can learn and gain strength just from their existence. For no man is an island. No woman is an island either. It's important to also consider how you can be an ally to others. This has been said to be a critical aspect of networking for those who like to. Miriam, I'm so proud of you. Look at her look.
She's going to cry.
No. I'm good. I'm good.
I have the greatest amount of respect for you, and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Thank you, Karen.
Miriam Manderson.
Can I say something?
1 minute.
Oh, I'm just going to take it off. I just want to say a little something. Few people in here. So that statistic, you asked me the question about why did I write the book. It was when I would say to people, when they ask me what do you do, and you say head teacher, and then eyebrows raise, and you kind of think, maybe there is something there. Okay, you know, is it a big deal? Yeah, some people say, yeah, it is. Karen, stand up. Kristalina, stand up. Viv, stand up. This is us. Now, 2 people out of those 3 are ex-head teachers, because they've gone on to bigger things, and they've all been part of my journey, so thank you. Karen, you're in primary, I know. Kristalina and I secondary, but you're no longer anymore, you've moved on. Just wanted to show a few. Is it 11% of the UK population are of black heritage?
Yep.
So we occupy 0.1%.
So you are
leadership.
in the presence of greatness. Applaud them.
It's important. I want to say something else about allies. So you mentioned the allies. The reason why I asked you to read that is because I'm only highlighting a few people here. Howard, I just want to mention you too. Howard Fried, we call him the leadership god. Because if it wasn't for him, if you look at not just black heads, but anybody across London who knows about headship, and you mentioned the name Howard Fried, in fact, he should have an OBE, is what I would say. Yeah. He's been an ally. Sir Alan. Yes, he's a Sir Howard for us. He has been a fantastic ally, and he said to me, when you write your book, talk about those feelings, talk about how it felt when you went through, and I haven't gone into it as much because hopefully that is conveyed in my book. Thank you, Howard. Thank you. I just had to say that bit in.
Okay, so she's trying to take over proceedings. I'm not going to allow it. So she is now going to read the second excerpt from her book.
Right, okay. I will bring this down if I can. Whoops, I've done it. I've done it a bit too tight. Can you see if you can do that, please, Karen? Oh, thank you.
Did you walk with the class again?
My age.
She's actually walking everywhere with this cup. She's got shame.
Just to share. Thank you.
So Theo, don't have a mouth.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book, which I'm not going to read the bit about when I get to headship, because I think I'd like to leave a little bit for everybody else to read. But this is probably about a little bit to do with me as a teacher, a little bit to do with who inspired me as I was teaching, and yeah, everything you've kind of heard earlier on. So, I will never forget Dwayne. He was about 4'11", one of, if not the shortest in the year 10 group, but clearly the most deviant and naughty and influential of them all, as the other boys looked up to him like some deity. I dreaded the thought of being the one, should I be given the class to teach him. I made no attempts to linger my gaze whenever I watched him, ensuring he did not turn his maleficent ways towards me. Not necessarily because I was scared, but I was not sure if I would yet be in control of my church road ways. And just want to cuss the boy out. So, potentially damaging my chance at this whole teacher thing. It turned out that there were about 5 Dwaynes in the school, all with poor behavior, but this guy, by the way, by a long way, was the boss. At this point, I'm drawn to recall, both from his presentation to university students in Zimbabwe and his book Natives, Akala's note of significance that during his school days in Camden, it was the norm that teachers would scan their list of names of students and predetermine the destiny of each child. It is a truth and still happens to this day. So when I see a Dwayne, I kind of think, uh-oh, I'm scarred from the Dwayne that I had there. Anyway, moving on. Unfortunately, neither of the members of the department I was desperate to learn the trade from inspired me to become a teacher. Mr. Luttrell was, of course, much better, and it would be remiss of me to say I didn't learn anything from him, because I did. Like not being afraid of making big, overgrown Year 11 boys engage in singing in French to support memory and retention in the language. Fortunately, Mr. Luttrell shared the class I had witnessed, which was tormenting Miss Bartholomew. I'll allow you to read about Miss Bartholomew yourself. So I was able to experience a more positive interaction with the boys when he taught them, and I was attached to this group for these lessons. I remember being told by our PGC mentor in one of our sessions that we should not just stay within the confines of our departments, but explore other subject areas. He did not need to ask me twice. The next day, I plucked up the courage to walk around the school and just pop into lessons, asking politely if I could sit at the back and observe. And that's when I discovered her, Miss Osborne. I should call her the goddess of teaching. Her voice was calm, even melodic. She walked with poise and grace. She was uber organized from start to finish and had the boys eating out the palm of her hand. Most impressive of all was the fact that in this class, there were the most identical group of students that were in Miss Bartholomew's class. They were unrecognizable. Once I was in this room, I planted myself at the back and watched the magic of Ms. Osborne's history lesson unfold. Now this is the teacher I'm going to model myself on, I told myself. And that is exactly what I did. It didn't matter that her pedagogy was in a different subject. Pedagogy, the method and practice of delivering knowledge and skills in lessons. Her amazing behavior management leading to the development of good, secure relationships, coupled with good subject knowledge. All of the necessary ingredients you need to be a leader of your subject in the classroom, also a leader of teaching and learning, which I became when I went into senior leadership. More about that later. So that's a little bit about the woman that inspired me and how I came across her. And then we go on to the lesson that I was having with Dwayne. Damn, I'd forgotten the advice and all of a sudden I had an out-of-body experience. I was taking the register and I saw my hand poised over the wide green file, trembling furiously as a new teacher, or so it seemed to me. And like a savior, it flashed in my mind, keep your arms supported when you take the register in early days. And just ever so slowly, I lowered my hand down to meet the file and I continued. It may seem trivial, but when you begin the teaching profession, everything matters. Everything continues to matter until you don't think of it anymore. Then you know you've mastered it. You have to do, as Doug Lemov says in his book, Teach Like a Champion, you have to sweat the small stuff. Although he's referring to whole class teaching principles, I believe it matters also to developing as a teacher, as a group of 30 bustling boys can reduce you to nothing in a flash. I made my way through my lesson, navigating the flashcards and the spot marking and so on. And I got to the plenary, and the plenary is at the end of the lesson, the part when you summarise what they have all learned and get ready to send them on their way. All was going really well, with a final feedback comment from Steve, a pause, and then Dwayne farted. It came from nowhere. I just paused in my tracks, pivoted, and stared at the space in the classroom that he occupied. And then I just glared, and I said nothing. Neither did they. I could feel the sweat building up on me, but I waited. It did me good. I pondered what my next move would be. There was a very tiny snigger. Dwayne was clearly testing the boundaries, but I had won. Some of the boys looked at me and quickly looked away, deciding whether to make it into something or not. I just did not give them any ammunition, and as a result, it just fizzled away. My fast heart rate didn't, though. It was still going. My heart goes out to all beginning teachers. That's why I pledge never to forget my experiences of the early days. There are emotions galore, tiredness, self-doubt, anxiety, frustrations, and more. The more, moments of laughter, joy, funnies, special and yet more emotions, but of a positive kind. Examples just seen today. I do believe it is one of the best careers in the world, and I maintain this today. As a head teacher, I can honestly say that this list of feelings never goes away. You just get better at knowing what to do with them. It's called experiences. From my experience of teaching Dwayne and many others at Grampton High School, I realised I loved the challenge. I loved the possibilities before me of infusing my love of languages and seeing the finished product. I got a buzz when at the end of every lesson, I made them listen, read, speak, or even sing in French, and I had shown them the fruits of their labour, that they could converse, and how this was just one tiny way the world was opening up for them. I went from my first ever school to Grampton High School for Boys, and took up a substantive role a month before I finished my PGCE training. I visited, managed to discuss with the head department the potential of working there, and the next thing I knew, they were negotiating with Grampton and the Institute of Education how I could do my supply teacher role there for a month before formally completing the course. I did it, and I was glad for the opportunity. I was 21 when I first set foot in the school. Only 3 years difference in age from the most senior students. I had to learn very quickly how to adopt my teacher face and my don't mess with me look. It was necessary, and it was the start of my behaviour management training. I began as a supply and also secured the substantive role as a teacher of French and Spanish. This was not the expected subject for a teacher with my background or ethnicity. I remember the blue-eyed, blonde-haired David in my Year 10 French class who sat and stared at me for about 30 minutes. Every time I circulated to look at work, he would quickly look at his book and avoid eye contact and feign working. When I eventually asked, "Is everything okay, David?" I think he just couldn't hold it any longer and he blurted, "Miss, you're our French teacher." "Yes, David, that's right, I am," I replied and paused. "But you're black."
I think a lot of the educators in the room, we've all had our Dwaynes. We've all had our moments, farting in the classroom, standing up, whatever it might be. So talk to me about this road to headship. If you don't know, she's an outstanding teacher. An absolutely outstanding teacher. And everybody wanted Miss Manderson or Miss Lopez, as she then came along, to do when learning Spanish, because her lessons were lively. There was no sitting at a desk writing in their lessons. And she did get big, burly 16-year-old boys to do things you never thought they would do in Spanish lessons. So now that you've stepped outside the classroom, how do you continue to inspire so that is the norm within your school?
That's really easy to answer. Anyone can tell you that Miss Manderson is everywhere. And I wear heels for a reason, because when I walk down the corridor, isn't that right, Sue? Clip, 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 is that Miss Manderson? Yes, it's Miss Manderson. They need to know I'm coming. But I'm in lessons a lot, as much as I can be, because I love the craft of teaching. I love the classroom. And every year, I've begged for a class. So when I started, I didn't listen to John's advice. I was like, "Oh no, I'll teach, you'll be fine." But it's really difficult. And I asked for a class and I was pulled from pillar to post. And it's difficult because you realise there is a difference. I have to have oversight of the school. But I begged for a class and I went in and I was teaching some French and I was really excited. Oh, I've got a lesson. Anyway, this year I had my very own French class. And the reason for that is because I need to also know what my teachers' experiences are firsthand. So, for example, I went in and the computers took about half an hour to get on. I said, "This just won't do. This is ridiculous. And my teacher's dealing with this, you know." And it made them appreciate that I was going into the lion's den with them and experiencing their experience. So I keep up to date by being around the classrooms. If I have a really bad day, you know what I do? I leave my office and I go and find a lesson. I go and sit with the children and instantly they have a really funny way of removing your stress, don't they? They make you forget a multitude of things. So I go and I find out what's going on and I'll choose those classes on purpose and help myself to kind of keep abreast of what's going on. I have a fantastic staff I work with. My deputy teacher in learning is always excited about the next thing, so that also helps. I read, I share good practice, and I use social media.
So this is the thing. So you walk down the corridors. I remember we kids were scared when Manderson and Lazar were walking down the corridor. They didn't know whose name to say first or what to do. They just knew that if both of us were coming, it was just that, "Oh, someone's in trouble." We weren't often together, but when we were there was presence, and I know that is important to you. Yeah. I've also seen you in your 3-inch heels and your sexy outfit going and break up a fight at the bus stop. You think I'm joking, but this woman will get in between. The church road comes out every now and again when it needs to. I've seen her break up fights between grown boys in her heels and not even cause a ruffle in her outfit, yeah? And I know that is important to you, to make sure that you are seen, that you are a woman of your word, and that your sleeves are up and you're doing the work. Has that been difficult for you, that transition, that making sure that you have that oversight and have that so that you are seen by your staff as definitely somebody who is in charge, but they know that you can roll up your sleeves when necessary?
It's been difficult in the sense that I've had to recognise that I can't do it to the same level that I used to. Because somebody has to be back at base. Somebody has to be the person that people go back to. Funny you should talk about fights at the bus stop. Within the first week I joined my new school, a group of boys from another school came to beat up one of my students at the bus stop. I didn't know them, they didn't know me. I just about knew the student. In fact, he was a very, very good student. And they had a good punching, and yeah, there I was with my heels.
Yeah, I know, I heard.
Really, getting in there. And
one of mine was on the bus and saw you.
Right, well, oh really?
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Well, but I think I think it's important for Head not to shy away. John will tell you, we have a bus stop with lots of shops right next to our school, so we know at any given moment things can happen. So we're always on our guard. We've got eyes all around our head. I've got a couple of colleagues here who are with me. They in fact do that. Yes, Sue and Vicky, I'm talking about you two. They're always, we're on the radios, aren't we, just making sure that things are going on. And even then, you get people talking to you at bus stops and things like that, and you have to make sure that you're on your guard. It's not difficult. It's not difficult for me. I am dealing with children. I don't care how grown you are. I don't care whose children you are, but if you're in my uniform, you're my children. That's it.
Community.
And you need to represent, you need to behave yourself in a way that I expect, and I will tell you off if you are naughty. Simple.
On the street.
On the
That's
street.
right.
But it's really important. I mean, I love my children. I love working with them, and I see the potential in every single individual there, no matter who they are and how they are. And being a head, your own children aren't always perfect either. So you share that with them too. You want to make sure that they do right. So I don't find it difficult, but I think having to step back a little bit and not just rush out for any call, because I'm not a deputy head anymore. That was the transition I had to make, which was hard. I had to make sure that actually, if something serious does come, my staff need to come and tell me, seek the advice, and let me make the decisions about where things go next. And I've had to take advice on that.
Do you know what this is? This is beautiful for me because I've watched you grow. And one of the last words in your book, and one of the things that always stuck with me about you, because it's one of the things that I admire about you, is you say, know your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really powerful. And I draw on that a lot, and you know why. How has that, knowing and understanding your worth, impacted your journey?
First, I'll say by saying a lot of what I wrote in my book is, like I think Andrea read earlier on, and Karen as well. It's not about self-glorification. I know there's a lot of accolades that you're hearing and things like that, and for that I am truly grateful, and it helps me to know my worth. It helps me know what I'm about. But it's about helping somebody else who may have had what I call the chatter monkey in their head, telling them no or they can't. We all have those moments where we just think, that won't be me, or I don't have the capacity, I'm not strong enough, I'm not able. And I still get that now. So I think that know your worth is a mantra. Sometimes you're not feeling as though you know your worth, but you say it anyway. And you draw on that. And that's hard. It takes a lot of gut-wrenching confidence, really, in a funny way, to undo that thought in your head because of whatever the messages might have been that you've accumulated in your experiences that make you think you're not capable, you're not worthy of. I mean, even writing this book, I remember thinking, when I got it, you'll see the video on social media, because literally I was like, I know I wrote this, but this is a book. Like, this is a real book with shiny pages and stuff, and ISBN number. It's strange, and almost it comes from a place where I'm not meant to be somebody that can do this. That's what I think. It's there, at the back of my head. But it's about fighting that voice all the time, and that's why I have that mantra, know your worth. And draw on allies, and draw on sometimes a good note. And I share that back too, where it's deserved. I won't just do it because I want somebody to feel good, because I think it has to be done with integrity. It has to come from a place of honesty, integrity, and real meaningfulness. So I think knowing my worth is important. And I'll tell you one other thing. Having children has made me know my worth. They mean more to me than anything. And you know, I'm a stepmom to 4, and my own 2, so there are 6 of them in total. They're all adults now, but you get to know your worth because you know how you contribute to their lives too.
What a beautiful example you are. I think that's amazing, which is again why I've dragged all of mine here.
The Lazar clan, all there.
At the back.
Woo! Thank you.
We're going to finish off in a bit because I've been getting fingers at me telling me that we're running out of time. Each one teach one. It's something that we always say. We have a WhatsApp group, and you know, a big part of who you are is who you're surrounded with. That's a message I often say to my children. You know who your friends are. You know, tell me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. How important is it for you to share your journey with people, not just people who are aspiring to be in education or any field? How important is that to you to get what you've done out there that it will help other people?
It's funny you should say that, because when I wrote the book, my publisher is here. Hi, Winsome. We'll come to you soon.
You're next, Winsome.
I said to her, I'm really pleased I've done the book now. It's good. And she said, yeah, but it's not stopping there. You've got things to do. You need to market it. You need to get it out. You need to do this. And I was like, no. She said, what? You're just going to write the book and let it sit in your house? And actually, I was thinking, yeah. But I didn't want to tell her that. I didn't want to tell her that. I mean, it's a bit silly, isn't it? And actually, it's selfish. If you've gone through experiences and they can help somebody else, each one teach one. Let somebody else learn from that experience. You can do that with dignity. You don't have to do it with what's the word I'm looking for?
Flagellation.
What's the word?
Self-flagellation.
Self-adulation, she said.
Yeah, that'll do.
Okay, that'll do. But, you don't have to be pompous about it. You don't have to inflate your ego to do that. I think it's being candid and honest. And in my book, I think I've been really candid and honest about my emotions, what I thought, and how I've gotten over some things, in the hope that it does exactly that, whether you are in education or not, because the principle is the same. And it's about overcoming challenge. And I think it's important. I've learned that there are some people who appear to be really confident, but they've learned the tools to master their shyness or their anxiety or whatever it is it might be. And I think I'm a master at that now. It's not putting on a mask. It's not being false. It's just finding the tools. And one of those tools is using friends and family, using allies, or it's being with yourself and knowing your worth, looking back at some of the things that you have overcome and achieved. Takes time, but doing that. I don't often have time to reflect and think, but when I do create that time, I really do go deep and do it. And I still journal, because I love doing that.
Well, that brings me beautifully to my final question. What's next? Are we getting a fictional version for part 2? Are we? I'm going to work with Winston because the next book launch is going to be in the Bahamas. I'm happy to host the next one. That's no problem. But what is next? Are we going to go for part 2, from Headship to Prime Minister? Are we going to do a fictional version? Are we going to talk about, support young teachers coming up with, top tips from a head teacher? Like what? In fact, that one's copyrighted. You can't have that one. What's next for you? Because you've started now, so you must finish.
I have no idea. A film? No. I don't think it's worthy of. Oh my God.
Beyonce. She could star as Miriam Anderson. I'm on it. We're on it. We'll talk after, Karen.
I don't know what's next, Candice. I think, to be honest, I just want to enjoy the book and enjoy how it feels and just see what comes out of it. One of the things I have been allowed to do in my headship is network a lot with other head teachers. Doesn't matter what race they are, because I don't believe that everybody has to be black. It's just, we know it's important. We know it's a factor, but it's about overcoming that. And I strongly believe that when people have your back, doesn't matter who they are. And when you network with others, you can grow so much together. I did a talk at another school the other day for another head that I met when I was doing MPQH, actually, Howard, I think it was. And it was great because we've connected and we're networking. And I've been allowed to coach other young aspiring leaders. So what I would like to do is maybe use some of that experience to just carry on supporting others in their journey.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. It's an important point you made there about just being surrounded by good people. Race, colour, gender, doesn't matter. It's about being surrounded by good people. And that's what this is about. And John and Howard, Zaf, you were very much part of our BMW car conversations. We should sell those. Like, it should be a Netflix serial that we've got on there. Oh, I'm brimming with creativity today. You are a huge part of her journey and the advice that you gave her. And you won't know this, John, because it was a private conversation between me and her in the car. But the way you welcomed her, because she was really worried about stepping on toes. And I said to her some advice that a head teacher once said to me, well, if you don't want your toes stepped on, don't get on the dance floor. But after her first few days, she would report, because she had to report back to me, the way you welcomed her was beautiful. Everything that you did in that first half term just made her settle so well. And I always thought, if I saw you again, I would say to you, thank you. Because I was on this journey with this woman on days when she didn't get jobs, and she came back and...
Respond to that.
Please, let me bring... I've got the mic.
She got me over a massive hurdle, which was to give me space to still be part of the school and give the job up. And she allowed me to do that.
Oh, give me back the mic, don't cry. See, good people. And wasn't it beautiful? A match made in heaven. She can't say enough about you guys and the how you supported her on her journey. And as her friend, I'm grateful to you for that, because you helped build this magnificence here. So we're almost at the end.
Okay.
And you've got a task to do, but we'll come to that right at the end. So your publisher, Winsome, who I've heard a great deal about, is going to come and speak for 4 minutes and 55 seconds exactly. Winsome. Yes? Please welcome, come up to the stage.
She's not going to do that.
She's not going to.
She's going to do
try and
longer.
not speech. Oh, okay.
Here you go. Winston, which one do you want?
There you go.
Thank you very much. Publisher all the way from Old Kent Road. My pleasure to be here, not from this postcode. So, Ms. B, big up your status, big up your chest. Cheese! Yeah, I'm from the hood too. That's what's up.
I'm so sorry, the mic.
There's so much that I want to say, but she won't allow me. So I'm going
4
to
minutes.
get to the team. So today we're talking about legacy. What are we talking about? Legacy. Pardon?
Legacy.
I can't hear you.
Legacy.
Legacy, because that is what Miriam has left for us. A legacy, a 0.2 legacy. So I want to see if you are inspired by her story, impacted by what she's done today, and are interested in writing your book. I want you to put your hand up real high. Put it up in the sky. Don't be scared.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
I want you to look to the left and the right. Look to the left
Actually,
and
I'm
the
writing
right.
one.
These are your
Smart.
up-and-coming authors. Give them a round of applause. Because today we are talking about leaving your legacy. The importance of leaving your dreams on the page. I just want you to come back with me on the 18th of May, and if you were with me, I was at my desk and I was working really hard, and I was getting ready to go into a funding meeting, and these funders worked with, tenders with the government, £1 million contracts and so on and so forth, and the phone rang. Ring, ring. It's my mum, 2 minutes for the meeting, and I'm like, Mum, I've got 2 minutes, go on, it's important. Yes. She's crying. I'm saying, Mum, why are you crying? What's wrong? What are you crying for? She said, Winston, I'm sorry to tell you, yesterday your cousin passed away. I said, you're joking. She said, no. She said, yesterday your cousin passed away. My cousin Wayne Bailey, he wrote a book called Way Back Then. What was it called? Way Back Then. And he left his legacy in that book. The day that the book was published, on the day that he had passed away, he had those poems inside of him for 20 years. How many years?
20.
Can you imagine having a book inside of you for 20 years? That ache, that longing, that desperation to tell your story, that insight that no one else has got but you for 20 years. So you know what he did? He left his
Legacy.
I can't hear you.
Legacy.
You see, it's important. Whether you're black, brown, it's important to leave your legacy in the book, ladies and gentlemen. So I implore you today to be inspired by the 0.2 story of Miss B, to leave your legacy, to stand up and make a difference. Because, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. The richest place on the planet isn't Sierra Leone, where the diamonds are mined. The richest place on the planet isn't the Taj Mahal, where there's filled with 18-karat gold. The richest place on the planet is the cemetery, for therein lies your hopes and your dreams. Books never written, songs never sung, films never watched. So today is the day that you start your journey to leave your
legacy.
It is important to leave your legacy. And as a book confidence coach, ladies and gentlemen, this is how I support. And Miriam She has a very strong sense of direction. That's a nice way of putting it.
Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
well, it's very diplomatic.
Thank
yes.
you. I was working on that all night. Very, very strong sense of direction. And believe it or not, she actually put together this cover. So can we give her a round of applause for that? Before I could even twist, she was like, yeah, this is what I want my cover to look like. I was like, but Miriam, have you done your research yet? She's like, no, but this is what I want my cover to look like. And she came with the ideas and the concepts. Even at the back, she was putting together the illustrations that you see in the book. And the very last touch that you will see in here is this little woman with like this sort of feathery, afro-y things in her hair, which was really beautiful right here with the quotes. Now, I put an apple, because teachers and apple, that matches, isn't it? She was like, well, what's the relevance of that?
You don't know,
I
Miriam.
was like, teacher, apple, teachers. But maybe it's cookies, because I see the posh cookies over there. I don't know. But this was her touch. And she said, no, this is what I want. So I just encourage you today, under the sound of my voice, if you're inspired by hearing her share her story, if anything has touched you, ladies and gentlemen, I inspire you today to come. Let's have a chat. It's free to talk. I want you to leave your legacy just like Miss B has done. She is loved. Students are here. We're all shedding a tear of joy and happiness. It is so, so important. So if you'd like to hear, because I know my time is done.
Long time.
If you'd like to hear, long time. Well, you know me. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about what I can do to support you on this journey, you can go to www.peachespublications.co.uk. I've got business cards with me. We can chat. I'm here right to the end. I've got a nice little parking spot there. And I just want to just encourage you on your journey and just say, well done. So when I say leave your
Legacy.
All right. They're good, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Leave your
Legacy.
Leave your
Legacy.
Leave your
Legacy.
I said leave your
Legacy.
Leave.
Let me go and get that mic. Thank you very much. You've got quite excitable opening and closing. I thought that was really well thought through, actually. You didn't warn me about that, Miriam. Okay, so it is your time now. You have heard the story. You may have questions, and it is open to you to ask any questions that you have of the amazing Miss Manderson. Who would like to start? Ah, yes, right over here at the back. So you've got to wait. I've got to come over there with the mic. Are you going to run? Well, it's my job, isn't it? Please say your name and ask the question nice and clearly.
My name's Tashana. How long did it take you all together to complete your book?
So I went to my friend's book launch in January of 2020, and I met Winsome, and I was inspired. I thought, I'm going to do this. And what happened was, Winsome was meant to do a book confidence coach session. Then we got hit by the pandemic proper, didn't we? I closed my school on the 8th of March. So every time she was going to do the session, it didn't happen. So I think in July, Winsome finally did it online for the first time, and I joined. So that, I would say, would be the start. So about 2.5 years it's taken me to write it and publish it. And at the time, I remember writing it thinking, it won't take me that long. Whew. And I thought I was going to write about 30,000 words, isn't it, Winston? And then it ended up being 89,000 or something ridiculous like that. So, yeah, took about 2.5 words.
225 pages.
Yeah.
And you thought it would be easy during a pandemic when you're running a school and you're a mother to 2 point and plus 4 kids and a wife. Yeah? Okay. Of course. Next question.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Patricia, affectionately known as Blaze. Miriam, I'm going to start by saying thank you. There's so much that you and I have in common that you don't yet know. But I want to say thank you, and I want to say that we understand that teaching is about learning. What is the biggest thing you learned about yourself on the journey from, where you came from to where you are now?
I think the biggest thing I've learned is I can do whatever I put my mind to do. Yeah. I just need to dig deep and believe. That's it. And if I choose to do something, then let me go forth and try. And there are people around me that will support and uphold as I would for them. So that's what I've learned. Because I've had a lot of time believing I can't and not trying and not putting myself at risk or in front of others or exposing myself and kind of just thinking, it'll be okay if I just do this in the background. But that's what I've learned, I think. That's one of many lessons I've learned. I've also learned that, I know this is going to sound really soppy, but it's the truth. I've got an amazing husband, because I wouldn't be where I am without him. And we have this, thank you, we have this argument and debate. Don't put him next to me, I see him every day, it's fine. Move him over there.
I've just sent him to you, why are you making him?
Nah, that's why it works. 20 years down the line, that's why it works. But no, seriously, we made the decision when we had the children that he would be the caregiver and I would go forth with my dream. And there were so many doubts and things and pushbacks, and he was just there, the constant there. And you know, he's not a teacher, he's not an educationist, he's not a degree and all that business. And actually it works because of that. And we have this debate sometimes where I try and be a bit, no, it's not because you did that I'm here. And then I think, well, actually it is. Let me shush. I won't say any more. And he just puts me in my place, just looks at me like, yeah, whatever. So I've learned that he is amazing and I need to just appreciate him all the time. And sometimes work... Work can take over and I need to sometimes pause and do family things. So thank you.
Been told that. Okay, next question. There's no one from this side of the room? Oh, yes, right. Oh, this is complicated. Shout. Yeah, thank you.
That's me as well, yes. I just wanted to ask Marion that my memory back in school days was,
you're going to go there.
I never really liked languages. I mean, the teaching system doesn't really encourage languages. I mean, I can bunk languages, but I couldn't bunk maths or English. You understand? And I'm wondering, how did you eventually overcome all that and become a language teacher? Born in England and coming from the same background?
So I won't say everything in the book, but when I was young, I used to go to the Harlesden Library. Yeah, I did say Harlesden. And hire the books. Freudian slip, I think.
She's laughing, but she was scared about coming here today because her name is on enough of those non-return books.
You know when you go home and you see the library, you go, oh, it's not my book, it's the library's book. You see the band. No, but I used to go and take out the languages books, and I dabbled a bit with French and Spanish, German, blah, 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 and I settled on some. So I had that as a hobby, and then I was blessed with two amazing teachers at school, Sydney. One was, I've forgotten her name now, but she looked exactly like Miss Navratilova, just like the tennis player. And I had her for a year, and she left. And fortunately, I had Madame Nuceret, I don't know if you know who she was. And she was, to me, what I am to Nassima. Madame Nuceret was, I don't know what it was about this woman. She and I just clicked. And I remember going to France with her, and I was off. And I thought, I love this subject. And it is important for children to like their teachers. It makes a difference. And relationships are the foundation. So if you're in a classroom, we all know this, you learn from people you like. And I liked her. She was nice. And she was also somebody who handled the boys whose voices were like this, breaking in the class, not making them feel embarrassed because voices were breaking and they were 14 and you're doing languages. And she did that with grace. Everybody spoke in her language. And I suppose that helped me think that I could have fun with languages. I'll tell you a little secret that's not in my book. Oh God, I don't know if I should say this. But when I did my A-levels, maybe, but I bunked French a lot. At A-levels.
Close your ears.
Yeah, my boys know. So I hope that helps answer that a little bit.
Okay, timer, how much have we got left? We get 2 more questions?
3 minutes.
One question. Now you lot want to ask questions when the time is running out. Okay, we'll go for last.
Rita.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Rita. I just wanted to ask, when you became a new head, did you find your biggest challenge was with teaching staff or support staff, and especially support staff who'd been at the school for several years?
So,
You need to repeat the question.
the question was, when you first became a head, this is political, I just don't shoot the messenger. Was your biggest challenge with teachers and staff or support staff?
It's an easy one for me to answer. And it was with teaching staff. And I'll tell you why. Because of the way of hierarchy in education, teaching staff have points, TLRs, and things like that. And I think that many teachers go into the profession and they want to do a good job and get promoted. And when a new head comes in, people think, oh, it's an opportunity for me to demonstrate and show my teeth, show what I'm made of, and hopefully I'll get a promotion. And it doesn't work like that. You know, it doesn't work like that. Whereas the support staff in my school, they're like the legal profession, so we call them associates, okay, the associate staff. They tend to know what they've gone into, what their jobs are, and they do them. And the opportunities don't come around as often, unfortunately, because they're in a completely different pay bracket. So I didn't find that there was more of a challenge of people thinking I was going to create new jobs for them and they were going to get promoted into new roles because I'm a new head and things like that. So in that sense, I would say there was more of a challenge from teaching staff. And I can be a bit of a people pleaser. So I think, you know, I wanted to make everybody feel they were, feeling that they were valuable and contributing to the organisation. But there's only so much you can do. What I would say is a tactic I did before I even stepped foot in the school was I met with every single member of staff. I had what was called the 3-question interview. I started with when I was still at the school that I was coming from. And that broke down a lot of barriers because I didn't use a hierarchy. I just met with, I told the PA at the time, get me these people that I want to meet and mix it up, teaching staff and support staff or associate staff, so that there's no kind of assumption that I'm going to treat one category of staff higher or better than another. Because as far as I'm concerned, they're all valuable and they contribute to a job which is running our school for those children. So in answer to your question, only in terms of promotion and things like that, but generally no.
Looking after your people, it's important, it's really important. It wasn't one of those, who's this new chick coming to school? Let's see if she's any good. It was all, you met her before, so you knew that she was about the business. Good. Yes. Do you want to say your question now?
Yeah, sure. I just wanted to ask.
What's your name, sorry?
My name's Theo.
Theo.
Yeah. As someone who's getting on the first rung of the ladder in teaching, going into teacher training in September, just what general advice would you have for someone who's taking that next step from being support staff to then going into being teaching staff?
Okay, so young Theo here is at the very beginning of his journey, about to start teacher training in September. What nuggets of advice would you have for somebody moving from support to staff to teaching staff?
So first of all, congratulations, Theo. That's awesome to hear. Really pleased to see and hear that. And which subject?
So it's media studies and PE.
Oh, fantastic. You'll be very employable. Do you want a job?
That's the other thing. She's not taking on anyone.
PE and media.
No,
We're
no,
expanding
no,
media.
No,
right, okay.
This is not the time.
We're expanding. We'll talk later. The first thing I would say is, you've been a support member of staff in a school, have you?
Yeah, for a year and 4 months now.
Right, so that's already giving you really good insight into school life. So that's the first thing. You're not going to be a stranger to anything. Know the children. That's my number one. I had to say to a senior leader the other day in a meeting, we had a senior leadership team meeting, and she said, oh, sometimes we were talking about behaviour. Sometimes when I see the children, you know, I don't know their names and they walk away. And I think she was expecting me to say, oh, well, that's all right. Just did. And I said, you're my senior leadership team. Know my children. If you don't know my children, how do you expect the staff to? So it's important. Get to know them. And I don't mean just by name. What are their interests? What make them tick? What do they do outside of school? Who has safeguarding issues if they're in your form? Not everything in detail, but know them. The second one is this. I always tell young teachers, teaching is all-consuming. Don't think you're going to rest. You will be tired. You will get bags, but enjoy the journey and learn from the children as much as you learn. Have a hobby. If you don't have a hobby now, get one, because that will save you your time. Teaching is, like Viv said earlier on, it's all-consuming. It's a vocation. It's not just a job. but enjoy it and know that you're making a difference, okay? All right.
So we've come to the end of Q&A, but Miriam will be around afterwards for you to ask any questions. Apologies I didn't get to all of you, but you really didn't put your hand up earlier. So to close, we are going to have Miriam say some thank yous, but we don't have all day.
No.
So she has been structured and you've been instructed about what to do. You are not to go off script. I know exactly how many words, and I know how long it will take.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
All right.
So I'm just going to read some of my acknowledgements, if that's okay. And it starts with, today I recognize my awesomeness and the strength behind the spirit of those who guide me. Islands are to be inhabited. No one lives their life alone. No one achieves for themselves alone. And no one ever went far alone. In fact, there is an African saying that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. There is always someone rooting for you. You just need to seek and find them. It is for this reason that this page is dedicated to those mentors, guardian angels, spirits, both living and some who are no longer on the earth with us, but who have all in some way touched my journey. I'm lucky to be surrounded by many and recognize them all. There would be too many to mention, but for this first publication, I've pulled together my list of champions. Everyone needs a champion. Thank you to mine. Miss Nichols, Miss Simmons, Madame Nuqueret, Tom Buzzard, Sherry Davis. Yeah, you're in there too, Sherry. Sorry. Jan Cartwright, Bernie Pepler, Denise Fox, Phil Egan, Maggie Raffi, Paulette Minot-Statham, Andrea Zafaraku, MBE, Candice Lazar, Howard Freed, Dr. John Reevely, Dad, Mr. George Blankson, Bro, John Blankson, my beloved sis, Julia Blankson, hubby, Theo Manderson. Each one of you has played a role as a champion in my life, and some of you continue to do so. I also owe a huge debt of gratitude to my supporters on all my social media platforms who wanted to see this book published, and many who contributed to my GoFundMe page. You are all awesome, and some of you get double thanks if you're mentioned separately in this part of the book, so well done you. This book has been influenced by the two individuals, Howard Freed and Dr. John Reevely. Howard, you don't know how much being a guardian angel has been part of my journey in leadership. All it takes is a few words from a leadership god, and you're inspired, and that person was you. Dr. John Reevely has unreservedly demonstrated how to successfully, confidently, and deliberately pass on the mantle. A person of true confidence and humility who does not boast despite having over 30 years of leadership. My deepest appreciation to my newfound soul sister, Nelsa Kadoja, who inspired me to just do this from her book launch. If it were not for you launching your book and taking the time to allow me to be one of your invited guests, this book would not have materialized. Thank you for not only providing this platform, but becoming a sister friend who has now become part of my personal journey. My school holidays WhatsApp group. You have no idea how much our WhatsApp chats keep me sane, help me stay in touch with the real world, and blow my mind. Cleo, Dina, Candice, Auntie Jackie, Jessica, Shirley, my Zumba queen, Dr. Michelle C. McDowell, Saffron, Shalene, and their sister, Shireen, the relative to my leadership sister, Candice, who is part of the Leadership Sisterhood trio, Thor's Whores, named by Andrea Zafaraku, MBE, or Zaf, as I like to fondly call her, and Auntie P, otherwise known as Paulette Minot-Statham, always saying she's proud of me at every stage. My beloved sister, Julia, who is as crazy as they come, but has this ability to just know when I need her and when to stop me from running myself into the ground, building the resilience needed. My husband, Theo Manderson, you are simply awesome. You know when they say behind every good man there's a woman? Well, thank you for highlighting the reverse for me. In front of me and around me when I've needed that extra support, confidence building, and champion at home. Your belief in me being able to accomplish anything is not only unconditional, but perpetual. My sons, Rasan, who we fondly renamed Jazz, and Isaiah. Thank you for listening to Mummy read you parts of this and acting as my mini editors. You demonstrated such maturity in your understanding of leadership dilemmas, and I hope seeing me on this journey inspires you to be leaders of your own lives. To my editor, Linda Green, thank you for your wisdom and the laughter we shared as we worked around the clock together. Thanks too to my proofreader, Virginia Rounding, Winston Duncan. I am so thankful for your determination to see others succeed. Your passion, permission, and pushing others to excel is the secret ingredient of your success. Thank you for allowing me to get to the finished product. I know it's not your name, but I love calling you Peaches. You embody your publishing company. I just want to say at the end of this, thank you to every single person here. There are some people here, most of you I know, some people I don't know, people who have accompanied others. I'm really, really touched, and I really, really hope that this book doesn't disappoint, and it allows you an insight into me as an individual, into being a head teacher of a secondary school, into being somebody who's raised, born and bred in London, North Wheezy. If you are from the area, you will identify. If you're not from the area, you will learn, you will understand, and you will appreciate. And I just hope that you really, really enjoy reading it if you get a copy. Thank you very much, everybody. What's that for?
So, Miriam is going to be signing some books, but before I release you to mingle and network,
is she for real?
It's important. I have had 2 colleagues who I'm very proud of. They've both written books. There's no pressure on me. I only read one genre, and it's smut. So, in I think what we now call tradition, since I'm surrounded by authors, what is going to happen is Miriam is going to sign my bosom, as Andrea had to when she wrote her book. If Thierry Henry is anywhere, I am looking forward to being at his book launch so that he can do the same. So, where's the Sharpie? Let me get this on still. Where's the camera?
Is she for real?
Yeah, very much so. I wore a proper dress and everything.
Your husband is in the audience.
I know, he knows. That's all right, don't worry, he'll whoop it up later. Come on.
Where? Are you serious?
Of course.
Love you, cans, Miss B.
There you go, all very tastefully done. We are going to have a massive round of applause for Miriam Manderson, and then she's going to sign something.
I'm stabbing. You did very good. Awesome. You were wicked. You did awesome.
Beautiful. So hopefully you don't get anything on you.
Don't worry.
It's all good, lovely.
There's bleach. Thank you. Right, I hope you enjoyed that. I think apparently if you would like to purchase a book today, obviously I'll be sat over there and I can personally sign them. If you paid your VIP ticket, you have a personal message from me. However, if you had 2 and one of them doesn't have a name in it, I'm happy to sign that for whoever you bought the second one for. If there's still drinks there, have them or biscuits. But thank you everybody again. I'm going to sit on there.